Ladies and gentlemen, to NBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a man's world. All right. When I read the responses coming out of Twitter, out of Baton Rouge this week, yesterday, as a matter of fact, about a fight breaking out in practice, the only thing that I could think about was this is a man's world. This is also football, folks, and particularly this is fall camp football. Fall camp football is hot. Fall camp football is physical. Fall camp football is ornery. If I had one word to describe fall camp football, ornery would be that word. So when a fight breaks out at a football practice among teammates, you should come to expect it, okay? This shit happens. It does. It's football. Fights break out at practice. After all, again, this is a man's game, and it is a violent one at that, and violent people play this. Funny story. This isn't in the notes. I'm going to ad-lib this. My brother played baseball at Auburn, and his ice baths were scheduled at a time where it happened to coincide with Gene Chizik. Don't know why Gene Chizik was out here taking ice baths as the head football coach, but he was. Okay, and like me, my brother, a seeker of knowledge when it comes to sports, started to pick Mr. Chizik's brain. For those of you who don't know, Gene Chizik, historical defensive coordinator background, is even now still currently the defensive coordinator at UNC. And he asked him, he said, Coach Chizik, what's the key to finding a great defensive player? And Coach Chizik kind of paused and he said, I don't mean to say this the way it's going to sound, but it's really, really hard to be a great defensive player and be an outstanding human being. You know what I mean? Like, you got to have a little bit different edge about you. You got to have a little bit different violence about you. After all, this is football. Okay, so when I got to college, the first day inside run drill happened, right? You put pads on, you go through practice, and you're in shells and defense talking shit, offense talking shit, people competing all week. And then you finally get pads on about day 4, day 5 in camp. Well, the first thing you do as soon as you get pads on, you have actual real football periods for the first time all camp. You've been ramping up to this one moment. So you know what typically happens on that first play of inside run when the full pads are on? A lot of the times fights break out, and a lot of the times. So if you go into that huddle that first time, 11 on 11, inside run, full pads, full go, tackle until the whistle, and you ain't ready for a fight, well, you probably ain't ready to play football that fall. That's exactly how fall camp works. That's exactly how tone setting happens. And in honesty, that was my welcome to the college football moment. That's exactly what it was. We get into the huddle. It's inside run drill. Center looks at me and says, hey, I hope you're ready. Like, we fitting get into one. And that's exactly what happened. Fight break out. Like, it happens in football. Fights happen all the time. In fact, when I was in high school, shouts out Coach Kenny Dallas, we actually had rules about this, okay? It was free scrum, almost like a hockey fight until helmets came off. And then after that, or until someone got the advantage of the other, because this happens. Boys will be boys, men will be men. And when you're going up against the same opponent every single day, 5, 6, 7 days in a row, and you don't really like the guy because he's winning, well, sometimes fights break out. So as media members, they'll be freaking out. In fact, when I heard it coming out of the LSU camp, I thought, them boys might be ready to play some football this fall, right? I never thought Brian Kelly was a leader of men that might allow such aggression. In fact, I kind of think of Brian Kelly as an offensive coach, right? Even though he does kind of play a physical brand of football on the offensive side of the ball. But I don't necessarily think of Brian Kelly as Mr. Go Get 'em, Mr. Rambunctious, Mr. Ornery, if you will. But his football team's playing like that. And to me, when I hear that coming out of fall camp, I hear about a football team ready to play some football. Boys, I want to bring you in on this here topic before we introduce everybody else. I say good. I say it's football season. What do you guys say about hearing about fights out at practice?
Well, see, for me, so for basketball, we had this drill where if there's loose ball, you better be diving on the floor. That's it. You don't stand and you go pick up the ball. So we had this drill in practice called goo. And at any point in time, our coach could throw the basketball anywhere in the gym, and all players had to go chase after that one ball, and you had to dive on it, and that one person didn't have to run suicides. So you can imagine.
It got pretty intense.
Yeah. But it was fine too, because like, hey, you got to do what you got to do. I don't want to run suicide. So everybody was cool with it. So I'm cool with it. I think sometimes it can be better for the team at some points. Like, you just got to get some energy out, man.
When I was in high school, we go to contact camps in the summer. It's, you're just in shells and stuff.
Always at Reinhardt for some reason.
Reinhardt, always Pickens. There's no better feeling than sideline clearing brawls.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's frowned upon, yes, but it's fun. And I think a lot of the people who are seeing this on social media and going, oh, what's going on with LSU's program, it's an overreaction. This stuff happens all the time. This isn't Geno Smith where he's getting sucker punched in the locker room.
Yeah, that's a bit much.
This is heat of the moment fighting. So, and then another takeaway I have from this is this always happens anytime there's a fight. And there's no better way to out yourself as someone who never truly played competitive football if you say, I never understood why you'd punch someone with a helmet on. It just doesn't make sense to me. If you've ever said that, picture this. It's 95 degrees out. Your feet are burning because the turf is so hot. Hell, I mean, the glue on your cleats might even be melting.
Yeah.
You've got guys talking shit to you. Coach is probably up your ass. Like you said, that first contact makes, and maybe you're in walkthroughs and someone goes a little too hard after the whistle. Now you're in a shoving match. Is the last thing you're going to think of is, oh, man, I'm not going to punch this guy. He's got a helmet on. So, no, it's always heat of the moment. That's what happens in a lot of these team fights. That's why you see punches thrown and stuff like that. It's not a logical thing, no. But when you're in the heat of the moment like that, you just have to understand it.
Those people that make those comments, they've probably never thrown a punch before in their life. Like, dude, if I hit you in the cheekbone, it's probably going to hurt just as bad if I hit you in your face mask. They're both hard objects.
What do you think the best sport to witness a fight in is?
Ooh.
Because, like hockey's kind of cool because you drop the gloves and it's allowed. Like, they encourage it almost.
Yeah.
That's fun. But for me, I like baseball because
that baseball fight recently was nuts.
That one was insane with Tim Anderson. That was literally insane. But I like how the bench is cleared. The bullpen guys start coming running out from the outfield. I love baseball fights because it's also.
See, I almost prefer hockey fights because there's no fake toughness. There's no, I'm going to run in and act like I'm going to join in on this, knowing good and goddamn well I'm not going to. Whereas in hockey fights, everyone's watching those two dudes be dudes right quick. And I kind of like that. I kind of like the isolation of it.
I like hockey fights, but they're almost formalities at this point. Like, have you seen like there's YouTube clips where it's like the two hockey players like, you want to go?
Well, I guess we got to do it.
Doing this, and then it's like, all right, good luck, bud. Like, they'll say good luck,
bud.
The gloves off. I mean, mine would be. It doesn't happen as much anymore, just because the league and the rules and fines have changed. But those '90s NBA brawls, those were fun to watch. If NBA was more like that today, I think it would be a lot more interesting.
So this was the exact report coming out of LSU. Quote, multiple players got involved after a play ended with at least one punch being thrown as others tried to break up the skirmish. After everyone was separated, junior wide receiver Malik Neighbors and senior wide receiver Kyron Lacey were sent to the locker room. Also saw that I can't believe I'm blanking on his name, number 40, Perkins. Also saw that Perkins was pretty heated. I think it was involved with maybe a late hit on Perkins and a receiver over the middle. Guys, it's football. It's going to happen. I've seen on the NFL level, it doesn't really happen. But I know that at Georgia, there's, we'll call them kerfuffles, right? Some skirmishes, some dust up every once in a while. It's football, man. Shit happens, literally. That's the best way to explain it. Shit happens. So if you're a media member watching something like that, if you've never seen it, first of all, your initial reaction is go, because you've never seen it. If you're a football player, you know that, again, it happens. I saw Travis Kelce punch his teammate in an NFL training camp the other day. Like, this is an aggressive sport. Aggressive people play it. Yeah, good stuff. Welcome in to tonight's show. We got a loaded one for you. We're going to talk about NCAA 24 coming out. We're going to talk about a little bit about murder ball making its way back into appearance. Alabama football going to make an appearance on tonight's show. And then we're going to talk about perhaps the biggest human being I've ever seen play college football at the end of tonight's show. So make sure you're sticking around for that. No more thoughts, comments, concerns on fighting. We're good on that.
We can talk about it for the whole hour, but I think we got to move on.
Best fight you ever got in?
Reinhardt.
Yeah.
Reinhardt, actually, freshman year, I was lucky enough to go on the camp my freshman year. So I'm standing on the sidelines, and one of the senior linebackers gets into a tussle. Sidelines clear, obviously. And it was actually really funny because the Reinhardt coach was pissed. Like, he made him, like, go stand on the – have you ever been to Reinhardt?
Yeah.
So you know how that field is next to him. So he had to stand on that fence. It was like he was in timeout, bro. It was so funny. Like, he had to – like, you get in timeout at recess. You had to go stand at the corner and the teacher watch you. That's what he looked like with his helmet off. He's just standing there.
So my junior year of college. No, it was my redshirt freshman year. It was my first year starting. We had the inside run drill I was telling you about. It was like first play. It was very clear. We talked about it going into practice. Hey, we're fucking shit up first inside run period. Like we're gonna start one and we're gonna get after it and we're gonna be done. We're gonna get it out of our blood. So we're gonna get it out of our system. We're gonna let the defense know we are not to be messed with today. I vividly remember a linebacker talk about punching people in the helmet. I vividly remember a linebacker just taking a crow hop, bare-fisted, and just punching somebody right in the back of the helmet, not even in the front, just right in the back of the helmet. His name is Jarvis Jones. That guy ended up playing for the Jets for a whole preseason camp. So, like, it's the only guy we ever played with that was an NFL football player, and had no bones about hitting somebody in the face. You know why? Because he's aggressive. And he ended up playing in the NFL. Had 120
Did you ever
sacks.
have
120
was that an in-game fight or was that a scrimmage?
No, that was a scrimmage.
Did you ever have any in-games?
No, we never. See, that's why I think my coaches allowed it. I think my coaches at every level allowed the fights in practice so they knew it never carried over in the football game. Right? We had a chance to get that out of our system. We had a chance to get that aggression and that anger out of our system. I think more coaches need to get back to that because we're just a little too worried about our own teammates hitting our own teammates. Before we get into too far into tonight's show, I want to take a moment, give another quick shout out to our folks over at Prize Picks. Sign up today using promo code Brooks. You get a 100% deposit match over there. Hey, and there's some easy dubs. I ain't even gonna lie to you. Some easy dubs right now on Prize Picks, and they will 100% deposit match you. Meaning, if you put $100 in, they'll match you with $100. So you have $200 off rip. You'll already have doubled your money before even making a single play. Guys, NCAA 2024 is coming out next summer, and it was announced today that they're going to go through with it. I guess they got the NIL portion figured out, which, by the way, it wasn't that big of a deal. If you've listened to this network for a while, we've been telling you there's going to be some agents, there's going to be some people who are concerned about getting their portion of the split when players make money. That's all the holdup was with EA Sports. Apparently, there was another NIL agency that had already written deals with a bunch of these schools that were going to be in the game. NCAA overwrote that with the NIL agency that they went with anyway. So we're going to actually get an NCAA video game, which brings me to the most important question about NCAA 2024. Do you guys think that the mascot games will be making a return to the NCAA video game?
Dude, I hope so.
I hope so too.
Anytime I play with my friends, that was the move.
I'm trying to play with the Hokie.
If it's not, I don't want it.
Stanford Tree also was
Stanford
a good
Tree.
one.
Stanford Tree was also
That
good.
Stanford Tree when it used to do the sideways front flip. On that
Oh, dude,
game.
lit.
Hard. Oh my!
Oh,
God.
I'll tell you who's
So
another
hard.
good one. Toledo. Their mascot kind of looked like a Halo character. He was
Purdue's
pretty dope.
Boilermaker looks dope in that game because his damn head's so big. Yeah, who else? The elephant kind of looked a little goofy.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Albert the Gator.
Albert.
Or Albert. Was it Albert?
I think it's Albert the elephant, and I think it's Albert the Gator too.
Okay.
I used to just like destroying the Syracuse orange for some reason. I don't know why. I would set the mode all the way down. I would even go in and like put sliders down, put them all the way down to overall 0.
You just had to let something out on the computer.
Dude,
You
I was
just out here
I
squeezing.
don't know why.
them off.
There's something satisfying me about just watching Syracuse orange get blown up. I don't know.
But I definitely think that's the most important question. Like, if you're listening tonight, NCAA, you better be having mascot games available
That
because
franchise.
that in franchise mode, and I want to Road to Glory and all that stuff, all the standard stuff. But make sure, for the love of God, we've got mascot games because we need them. All right, us childhood youths that were out here playing NCAA 14, NCAA 12, NCAA 10, all that good stuff. I need that mascot game back because, like my boy Kirby said, I'm trying to do a sideways flip with a daggum Stanford Tree. You know what I mean? But in all seriousness, they're gonna have to put a player on the cover. Okay, and now for the first time, we were talking about this pre-show. Used to, they would have to show a person that had already graduated, right? Somebody that was already in the league so they can pay them for their name, image, and likeness. Nowadays with NIL, they don't have to worry about that. So who's the easy go-to to put on the NCAA cover?
Arch Manning.
Oh, I hate that.
Bro. Is he gonna sign it?
I don't know. I just, like
Ooh.
that was just the first name that came to my mind because I was trying to think of like who is not because a lot of
Yeah.
quarterbacks this year are not going to be around. Like Quinn Ewers, prime
Caleb
example.
Williams.
Caleb Williams not going to be around. Drake May probably not going to be around.
KJ Jefferson not going to be around.
Exactly. So then I was like, who's a new up and coming quarterback that'd be easy to market? People would eat it up. Texas, Arch Manning. That's kind of where I'm
All
going.
right, by that logic, I get. You've made a good argument for it. I get that. I think it's got to be whoever the swaggiest player is. Like in 2019, it was Joe Burrow.
Mhm.
2020, Devontae Smith, I guess. Ironically enough, those are both Heisman winners. But it's just whoever's got the most swag, hardest to cover it.
Yeah, I don't even know by then who the guy would be. I'm trying to think of a first-year starter at quarterback right now.
Travis Hunter, maybe?
Maybe, because he'll have another year
They could
of
do like a
college
duo
football.
with Primetime and
Dion.
him.
Yeah, no, you know what? That's such an easy pick. That's such an easy pick, and it's going to be the one. Deion Sanders and Travis Hunter and his son. Well, Shador might go to the NFL this year, but those three guys are going to be on NCAA 24. That's so easy. You're so correct.
Man, I don't know how that didn't come to my mind first. They're already trying to market them enough. So
that's wild. I don't even know how I didn't come to that. Normally, I'm right there. Normally, I'm right on top of that. I will tell you this. I think there's reports that it's going to be the interface. EA is going to make it a lot like Madden. The people who create Madden are going to create NCAA. I don't know why so many people are out here hating on Madden. I've played the new Madden. Okay, come on.
Go ahead.
No. Come on. Why do you hate Madden?
Because it's a reskin of its same thing 5 years ago.
I'm calling dubious to that. Okay, I'm doubtful of that statement because I played Madden 5 years ago. I played Madden the other night with my neighbor. And Madden nowadays actually requires you to know a little bit of football. Like you can't spam one thing and win in Madden nowadays. Like you actually have to be, a football mind. And if you are, I always felt like playing video games, like if I turned NCAA 14 on right now and started playing it, it wouldn't feel like football. It would feel like a video game of football. The new Madden feels like football.
Yeah, I think it's also because they've kind of introduced the ability to where like you can put it in like arcade mode, which is kind of like your NCAA 14 games where it's just casual, or you can kind of put it in a realism mode where it does feel like actual football. But I'm kind of with Christian on this. I've never been a huge Madden guy over the years, but I also haven't given it a fair shake. Like I bought the last one, played it twice. My buddy Stoddard kicked my butt the first time I played, and I never played it again. So maybe I need to get my revenge on it this next game. But
they made it a football simulator, which it is. You're right. You have to understand cover two, middle field close, who's going to be what the front is, everything like that. That's fine. But if I want to play a video game and I want to have a franchise mode and I want to actually create a player and go through that and have all those extra features, they've taken that away. And they've kind of advertised on this football simulator, which, that's only so fun for so long. So that's why I think Madden's kind of that's why NCAA 14 is so fun, because you have the mascot game. I mean, that's not realistic at all, but it's fun. It's a video game. It's not a football simulator. That's my argument.
Yeah, I guess as the football guy, I kind of want it to feel like football.
Yeah.
If I'm going to play it, I want it to feel like football.
You just want to be able to thump people by 50 points too.
Yeah, I want to be able to say like I'm better than you, and this is why I don't want you to be able to spam slants all the way down the fucking field because you know how to play the video game. You don't know how to play football, dude. I do. I should beat you. That's how I feel about that. You guys ever heard of murder ball?
No.
Okay, so I had to text my boy Josh Pate before this show. A little humble brag there. I had to text him because he's used this term about Alabama, this murder ball. I don't know if it's an Alabama term or if it's a him term. According to him, it's a him term. So we're going to give it to Josh Pate. We're going to give the trademark there. But apparently this brand of murder football played in the 2010s by Alabama where they just lean on everybody and run the ball. Think Mark Ingram, Eddie Lacy, Derrick Henry, those days of Alabama football. Apparently that's coming back, according to some of the quotes out of camp. Alabama's message has been very clear this offseason. They're going to run the damn ball, Bert. That's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to make people quit. Listen to this quote from Tyler Booker from today, and you'll get a very clean picture of what we're talking about.
We want to make people quit this year, and there's no better way to do that rather than to run the ball. So we're going to run the ball this year. We're going to pass the ball as well because we have a lot of talented guys at receiver. We have a lot of guys that can throw the ball very well. So just having that run-first mentality as an offensive line, that just gets us going because we want to make people quit.
Now, I'm not going to lie to you. When I first heard that clip and when I first heard all this stuff, my first inclination, like a lot of you in the chat probably today, was, oh, you guys think you can bully folks again like this is 2012? Like y'all didn't have to revitalize your offense to get away from that because college football was moving towards it. I wanted to do that. I wanted to do that so quickly. I wanted to sit here and say, hey, the rest of college football caught up with you guys 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, and you had to change. You had to go out and hire Lane Kiffin, bring in Steve Sarkisian, start recruiting 4- and 5-star quarterbacks, landing 4- and 5-star quarterbacks. Hell, the reason you won your last 2 national titles because you had great quarterback play when you needed to. I wanted to do this. I wanted to come out here and say, this is silly. Why do you think you can continue to beat football teams like this in 2023? I think that's the easy take. Not even the easy take. I think that's the take that's right in front of you. Until you realize why they did this. Okay, the reasoning, not it happening. The reasoning why they did this. What did I just say? They realized in the early 2000, in the mid 2010s, that they needed to move away from running the football and start moving toward quarterback-oriented offense, right? Well, guess what they don't have right now at Alabama and Tuscaloosa? They don't have a known commodity at the quarterback position. So if we're entering a season, like entering a fall camp, not even entering a season, entering a fall camp with no known asset at the quarterback position, don't you think we should spend the offseason hyping our guys up for how physical they're about to play a brand of football this fall? Because that's our best bet to winning football games, relying on our quarterback or relying on our offensive line and not necessarily relying on their quarterback play, because guess what? They're not going to have great quarterback play. And who would know that better than Nick Saban? And who would know better than to steer his narrative within his room of, hey, we are bigger and badder than everybody else. That's why we're going to run the football this year, not because we got Tyler Buckner and Jalen Milroe as our starting quarterback. Wouldn't it behoove us to give our football team some confidence and make them believe, hey, we can make guys quit? You know why? Because they can make guys quit. Look at this first line. If you've been around here, Elijah Pritchett, I thought he was the number one tackle in America in 2022. He's going to start at left tackle for them this year. Okay, Aaron McLaughlin, a kid from Buford, going to play at center for them. Extremely smart individual. Okay, Tyler Booker, J.C. Latham, right guard, right tackle. Probably the best right guard, right tackle combo in college football right now. Those guys are going to be able to run the football, and this is probably the best avenue for success for them, and that's why it makes sense. I've said on this network all the time, if I can explain to you the why, if I can find out the why as to you're doing something, if I can come up with an explanation, then I'm good. I'm good. I'm going to sign off on the decisions that you're making. And at Alabama right now, when it comes to running the football and staying away from leaning on our quarterback play, I'm more than welcome to hear it for it.
Yeah, I think they absolutely should, because I had the same kind of initial reaction that you did to this. But then me being me, I went and looked at the numbers. I wanted to know if there was anything that could back this up. And so every single national title that Nick Saban has won at Alabama, they have had a running back go for over 1,300 rushing yards in a single season. Every single one except 2017, and that's because Jalen Hurts dang near rushed for 1,000 himself.
Yeah.
So kind of had to balance it out there. Every year he hasn't won a title, he has never had a running back go for over 1,300 yards in a single season, except for 2021 when they came really close to winning a national title, except Georgia beat them out for it. So I thought that was interesting.
I mean, everyone kind of shits on murder ball quote because it's like, oh, you're just going to run the ball. You can't. That's what Georgia did. I mean, but Georgia was competing for national titles throughout that duration when they were running that quote.
Throughout the Chubb, years.
The bully ball, murder ball, whatever you want to call it. So it's not, and Bama has the roster to do that. They're going to lean on all 12 of their opponents. The one question I have for it, and the one concern I would be kind of worried about is what happens if Joe Milton comes in and he puts up 14 on you really quickly and you have to throw the ball then. That's the one issue I think that people are going to kind of worry about with that. But the other question I have is, what do you think Jermaine Burton is thinking right now?
Why can't I ever get the breaks? Why woe is me? Probably like, you know, I go to Georgia, they don't want to give me the ball. Some pissant Lad McConkey starts over me by the time I'm a redshirt sophomore, and it's time to dip out. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know what he's thinking, but he's probably thinking he's definitely, him and Ja'Cory Thomas are probably not, Ja'Cory Brooks, right? Yeah. Ja'Cory Brooks are probably not thinking that the reason they're murder balling is because of them. You know what I mean? They're probably realizing that this is a quarterback issue more so than anything, because they had a chance to play with Bryce Young. They know what great quarterback play looks like. You know what I mean?
Right. But even so, like you said, you leave from Georgia because, you know, whatever the Stetson Bennett thing is, they haven't had a first-round receiver, haven't had a 1,000-yard receiver in so long. Alabama's seemingly pumping them out. It doesn't seem like Alabama's going to do that this year. So it's kind of it's just unfortunate for him. So.
I mean, I think also, too, that you have to think they had Bryce Young last year, and it never felt like that offense really got going. Plus, you're transitioning in a new offensive coordinator in Tommy Rees. So I feel like maybe this is a time for you to kind of maybe balance things out a little bit more, kind of get yourself situated. Maybe you don't stick that way the entire season. Maybe that is not your identity by the time you play Tennessee, and you're able to kind of mix in some more passing games when you need to, and you have a guy that you can rely on. But maybe at the beginning of the season, you kind of use that to buy you some time to get yourself an identity and really figure yourself out before the like the season really starts to get rolling.
My thing with this is, if you are going to be this football team, this is going to be your identity. Why isn't Jalen Milroe already named your starter? Like, if you're going to be a running football team, Nick Saban, why aren't you playing the running quarterback? Why aren't you playing the guy that's going to add another hat to the equation? I mean, if you're going to run the ball 65% of the time, 62% of the time, 63% of the time, like you did back in the days of murder ball, well, by God, get you a guy in there that can run the football, especially if you've got guys that are as good as him, that you can't quite make a decision as their backup. It's not like there's a huge drop-off from starter to backup at there at Alabama, or else they would have a starter and a known starter. So I don't think it's something that can't work. Again, if there's anyone talented enough to do it, it's them. They do have one of the top 3 offensive line units in college football, right? It's them, Georgia, and Michigan, I would say. And then anybody else is kind of an afterthought with regards to this upper echelon of conversation. So they're certainly talented enough to do it, but I just don't understand how, particularly from a national media perspective. I covered Georgia. You guys know this. And every time Georgia got into big games before Stetson Bennett threw for 4,000 yards and they won 2 national titles, everybody told me you can't win that way. You can't win bullying everybody. That's what everybody in the national media has told me for years. And now all of a sudden, Nick Saban has the message of we're going to bully everybody. And everybody's like, oh, okay, yeah, y'all can do that. I don't know. But I understand it. I understand the reason why they're saying they're going to do it. And it's because they don't have great quarterback play. And if we can understand why, again, on this channel, we'll give you the stamp of approval. It doesn't mean we're going to sign off of it. Because like you guys said, there are some teams on this roster that give me problems and concerns. What happens if Tennessee scores quickly? Hey, by the way, Mason Smith, best defensive tackle in college football this year. You think you're just going to run over his ass for 4 quarters? Probably not. There's going to be some times where he takes over the football game and stymies you out and stops possessions. And that offense is certainly more high-powered than you are based off your own admission headed to this murder ball. Any other comments, questions, concerns, Alabama football?
I think it is interesting. You brought up a good point with Milroe. I think that is interesting. That makes
what are they doing?
Makes the quarterback battle even more interesting than it already was, because I've already kind of had questions about it. Like when you had Tommy Rees and you got in Buckner, I was like, okay, for sure, Buckner. Then you come out here with this murder ball talk. It's like, well, then exactly. Why isn't Milroe already named your starter? And then there's also this talk of Ty Simpson's the one that's showing out. There's just so much going on at that program. It's like, I don't know who Alabama is going to be this year. And that's weird to say with a Nick Saban-led team.
I think going to be go ahead.
I think it's going to be similar. What year was that? The Texas is back year. Was that 20?
That was 2018.
No, not like the original call when they beat Notre Dame. Tyrone Swopes dove in the end zone. They rotated like 3 quarterbacks the first few weeks of the season. I think you'll see a lot of that from Alabama just because they're going to have the offensive line to bully around whoever they want. And they're probably going to plug in guys. How does he do in a game? What does Milroe look like in this scheme? And that might even be crafting like variations of their scheme for different guys. Because like you said, Milroe is a dual threat guy.
It just doesn't make any sense to me. If you want to run the football over and over again, why are we talking about Ty Simpson? I mean, at least Tyler Buckner's got some history of running the football. By the way, Tyler Buckner's junior high school tape is some of the scariest shit you'll ever see. It's scary for 2 reasons. Someone can be that good, and then someone can end up looking like they did when he went to Notre Dame, because it's 2 totally different football players. Tyler Buckner Jr. tape right now could start at Alabama, but he is not that football player anymore. He's some different version of himself from a throwing the football perspective. So yeah, it's interesting. But if you're going to run the football and you're going to run it down people's throats, again, I think you got the offensive line to do it, but we need to make sure we got the quarterback coinciding with that. Speaking of quarterback play, it's not on the show notes, but I want to talk about it. Drake May, Talia Tagovailoa are 2 football players that coaches have both said they turned down multi-million-dollar offers to stay at their current school. First of all, which SEC school did that, and why is it Alabama? Or why is it Auburn? Because those are the ones I hear about all the time. I know it wasn't Georgia. Georgia didn't need a quarterback that bad this offseason. So who's out here throwing millions at Maryland's starting quarterback? And why in the hell is he still at Maryland?
I don't know. Ole Miss is doing some weird things with
at
their
the quarterback position.
They are really stacking it up over there.
But not a super high NIL football program. Don't have a lot of resources in that department.
Texas A&M is in some trouble with a quarterback.
Yeah, they are.
They haven't figured that one out.
I was going to say either Texas A&M or Florida.
But Texas A&M's got Connor Weigman, and they got Brad Johnson's kid, Matt Johnson, who they like a lot, the lefty. So, like, it would have been a weird one there. I think Alabama and Auburn were the 2 obvious answers. Like, Alabama needs a starting quarterback so goddamn bad that they went and took Tyler Buckner. And Auburn, they don't quite know who their starter is right now out there on the plains.
Florida's an interesting one too, because they what they need is someone like Drake May or Talia Tagovailoa, because it's a one and done guy, because you have DJ Lagway coming in. So go and get yourself a rental for now.
You need something that isn't Graham Mertz.
Yes.
Graham Mertz was the best quarterback week 1 of 2020.
That's true.
Who's to say couldn't be that again?
That's not a bad point. But hey, what have we left to think about this idea that, first of all, I call Fugazi. Like, why would you turn down $1.5 million as Talia Tagovailoa? There's no guarantee that dude's going to play NFL football. Like, he's 6 foot tall, isn't he? He's 5'11", 6 foot.
Gotta be.
Not like an elite evaluation as a prospect. Wasn't some 5-star. Hasn't put up 5-star stats at Maryland. He's played well, but he's had touch and go football games. Like, we're out here to believe that you're going to sign an NFL contract ever worth $1.5 million. If that's real, if those are real numbers, I get Drake May, but like, get Drake May sticking around. He's going to be the 2nd overall pick this fall or this spring. But like, what the hell are you doing, Talia?
Here's my other thing. Why are we just now hearing about things like this now that NIL is a thing? I mean, are we going to act like this wasn't happening 10 years ago when you could call up a player? It obviously was illegal back then. It's still tampering now. I mean, you see it all the time in the league, but coaches seem more open about like, oh, this is happening now, or our players are getting offered this much and they're choosing to stay with us. It seems almost like yellow journalism for your team, kind of like where it's just like, oh, we're going to hype up how much our guys are getting offered and they're still staying because they love our program so much. It's like, you telling me that wasn't happening before?
So I'm not a journo baby. Yellow journalism?
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
Journo baby.
I mean, you guys are Brady journalism school majors. I'm not. I'm just some slappy who got a job talking sports. What does yellow journalism mean?
Basically, from what I understand, it's the type of journalism that's used to make yourself look better or whatever you're reporting. It's biased journalism.
Oh, it's on 3. I'm just kidding. That was a joke. It was a joke.
You know, there's this documentary about UNC football a while back. It was when the football player got in trouble for the testing and like the false classes when all of that was going on.
Oh, shout out Jabril Peppers.
Yeah. But specifically, he basically flat out, the player was like, man, all this stuff has always been going on. People want to act like it's happening now, but I can go ahead and tell you right now, this stuff has been in college football for a long time. And a lot of former players now, when you get them on interviews, they'll go ahead and tell you all about like this Johnny Manziel thing that's coming out. I am so eager to watch that because he's going to air it out. That dude has no filter. He's going to let everything fly and tell you what really happened. And he tells on himself all the time, which is I love.
I think one of the very first things I said on this network when NIL came around was that the game been broke or the game been crooked. Y'all just ain't been woke. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to wake you up. The game been crooked. Folks been out here cheating in college football for decades, 100 years at this point, right? You just haven't read up on the history long enough and well enough, right? You go read Vince Lombardi's book, and I've talked about this. There is a portion of Vince Lombardi's book about, 100 pages into that freaking Bible. I mean, it's like that thick. About 180 pages in, there's a portion in there about how Creighton used to be the cheater in college football in the 1920s. Creighton, okay? And nowadays, Creighton out here paying like 100 G's on FBI wiretaps for basketball players. So, the game been crooked, like I told you a long time ago. Y'all just ain't been woke. And now, I don't think it's dirtier than ever. I just think it's more blatant than ever. I just think guys are just more honest and open about what they're doing and how they're doing it. I just wish I could be honest. I wish when I'm told something, I could come out here and tell you, right? I wish I could do that, but it either sounds like sour grapes or there's no verified information to it. It's just rumors. It's just intel. It's just hearsay, if you will. I'm waiting for the day where I get contacted by an NIL agent and he tells me, hey, I just brokered a deal for so-and-so football player and I want you to tweet it out. Because you think Adam Schefter's out here spending $30,000 a year on roses for nothing? No, he's sending it to sources like this. Because sources like this and him, they deal on, agents and reporters have been dealing together for centuries on stuff like this because it behooves both of them to get the news out. Okay? My player got this much money. My player turned down this much money. Okay? It's been important for those types of things to be stated and for those types of things to be out and in the forefront. And until we get that way in college football, you're going to have people in the mentions of commitment stories talking about, oh, he chasing the bag. Well, we don't know for sure. We don't know for sure because we're not allowed to be out here telling the truth and being honest about it. We can only do the hearsay stuff. We can only come out as Wake Forest's head coach and say, my players turned it down multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars. That was wild. Absolutely wild to me. I can't wait for Clark Lee to tell me how much money A.J. Swan turned down. You know what I mean? I want to be able to talk about these things up forth and forthcoming, but we can't do that right now.
Yeah, I mean, it is tough. It is a tough position that we're in, I guess you want to say, as journalists, because you can't say what's actually going on. But if you do say what's actually going on, you're speculating or you're sour about, like you said, sour grapes. So it is a tough position to be in. And like you said, people know this is going on, or people at least have somewhat of an idea that it's going on, but you can't confirm it. So I think that's the hardest part.
I think it's kind of like the thing of how now that social media is really blown up, specifically TikTok, you get people telling on themselves a lot more, whether it's they're breaking the law, they're cheating on their girl or their boy, it's stuff like that. They're telling on themselves. And that's just because they have a platform now to do it as compared to like maybe 20 years ago. Now that it's kind of legal and everybody feels that they can be a little bit more open about it, and we have the social media platform to do it and we can speak about it, no one's really going to bat an eye. Now you're just hearing about it more, and you're really hearing some crazy stuff. Really, I mean, it seems like every single day, or not, maybe not every single day, but every single week, there's some crazy coming out about NIL news and all college sports.
Yeah, like who was the Emmitt Smith? Didn't he say one time he went to Georgia on a visit and they gave him $90,000 in a duffel bag and he still committed to Florida?
It was somebody. I remember this. It was a former NFL player just randomly saying it out of nowhere. I don't know.
I mean, that's pushing 25 years ago. So it's not like this is something new, but I think it's just something we have more access to. So now. So
I heard a story about this. Was a long time ago. Okay, and you know what? I'm going to implicate the school. Screw it. You remember Pat Dye at Auburn? Head coach. A stadium somewhat named after him. I think it's the stadium or Pat Dye Field, something like that. Anyways, Pat Dye. Auburn, there used to be a dog track about 15 miles outside of Auburn, and he would give his players cards for the slot machines. And when they stuck their cards in, the slot machine was rigged to automatically win. So when players wanted their money, they would just go drive to the dog track and they'd stick their card in the thing, and they start. This is in the 80s. This is in the 80s. They're cheating like this efficiently, like really getting it done. Not out here just dropping bags. They out here finagling. And if you don't think shit like that's still going on in college football, you're just ignorant.
Man, that is creative as hell. I love that. That is freaking awesome.
Automatically rigged to win slot machines. Coaches, if you're listening, it's a little tip for you. A little tip of the trade right there.
Can you imagine being the one player who wasn't in on it? Who was just like, bro, I keep winning slots.
Bro, y'all ain't gonna believe it. I'm going over to the dog tracks, and dog, I ain't lost yet.
Coach Dye's like, hey man, go blow off some steam and go to the casino. And I went every freaking time, man.
Dude, I played against guys at West Georgia that were getting cash payments to transfer to West Georgia. West fucking Georgia, D2 football. And they might have been making, a couple grand a month on top of getting their home paid for. And, nowadays in college football, it's 10 times that. And that's okay. I hate the people that are like, oh, young men making money. Oh,
the integrity of the game.
Yeah, the integrity of the game's bad. Bro, I heard stories about kids back in the early 1990s and early 2000s having to wash hundreds of thousands of dollars of cash. That's way harder than deciding what you're going to do with the money. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing I think people forget about this. Oh, you get dropped off $100,000 in cash. You know how to clean $100,000 in cash? Because I sure as shit don't.
I watched a lot of Ozark, and I still couldn't do it.
Yeah, I didn't got a strip club.
No comment.
You know what? You brought up West Georgia, and that just made me think of this. I wonder how active it was over at those Last Chance U community colleges. Because, you have to think, you can offer them saying, hey, you're going to be on Netflix, so you're going to get all this national attention. Yeah. And then, that, Jim Brown, is that his name? Something like that? Coach Brown, I think it is, the guy that was at the Independence College. He had to have been hyping himself up. What?
Jason Brown.
Jason Brown. That's what it is. Yeah. He had to have been hyping himself up too. Hey man, I'll get you to the next school, but you come over here for a season and you'll get a bag, and I'll get you to another school and you get another.
Jason Brown, and I hope he watching tonight for some random reason. Jason Brown is the worst, the absolute worst. Okay, and somehow Twitter thinks I like that guy because he keeps popping up on my fucking feed. I don't know what's
TikTok
going on
thinks
there.
I love him.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with old Coach JB. What? Yeah, not a fan. Hey, y'all found this dude, this kid that plays at TCU.
Yeah, he's a freshman.
He's a freshman. Do we have a photo of Mance? that we can show? I think we're gonna throw a camera to it over there on the board. Man's, I ain't never seen nothing like this. Bro is huge. Let's take a look at it. What's his name?
His name is Brian Ramsey Brooks, and he spells Brian Brione.
Nicknamed Big Bubba Brooks.
Big Bubba Brooks. Big Bubba Brooks, 6'5", 450. Is that what he's listing at?
6'5", 455 pounds.
6'5", 455 pounds. Coach said, we need you to play a 4-eye. He said, nah, coach, I played a rib eye.
He makes the big board look small.
He plays offensive line?
I thought his defensive line.
I thought it was D-line.
Okay, so this checks out. TCU runs an odd front, so they play a true zero. So best case scenario, just get Snackums in there and just let him 2-gap like nobody's business. He a 3-gapper. First 3-gapper ever exist.
People were saying take the dude from Florida and him and put him in a cage fight and see who wins.
Oh, the kid from Florida. This guy's got 50 pounds before he's ready to fight anybody.
What
My
size
balls
jersey
is hot.
is that, man?
Still too small, regardless.
What
of
size jersey is
you
that?
can't even see the number.
He got to be 55, right?
Yeah.
Got to be 55. That's a big dude, man. That's a big old son of a bitch. But yeah, no, it makes sense. If you're going to run an odd front, if you're going to play a true zero, you might as well make that dude the size of like the biggest human you can find. Because all he's really there to do is occupy both egg gaps. I mean, you're never going to expect that guy to run 53.5 anyways. So what's the point? We got anything else, guys?
We have player of the day if you want to do that.
Do we want to do player of the day? I don't even think we have one today. Did we pick one?
I thought the kid that commit to
That's right. The
Mekhi
Maryland commit, Mekhi White. All right, Mekhi White is our player of the day today for one reason and one reason only. It is. Mekhi White is our player of the day for one reason and one reason only, and it's his first play. All right, now, hey, a lot of you guys, okay, I know we're talking to the family here. We're talking to folks that are watching because I know this national show just started, so we haven't really built the base here. A lot of y'all watching tonight, y'all watch everything. I'm here to tell you, we're trying this. I hate screen sharing. I think it's goofy. I think it looks bad. I don't think it looks clean, particularly when we have these boards and these nice cameras. So I'm trying to do it this way, and I hope you can see it clearly. I've went back and watched it. You can see plenty of what you're trying to see. We're just trying to talk concepts here, guys, right? So there's Mekhi White here. The reason he's on the clip or on the player of the day is for this highlight right here. This poor little joker right here in your screen, he fitting to get moited. Look at that. Stiff arm from hell. Dude gets thrown through the turf. All right, so when you do stuff like this, you become player of the day, especially when you just committed to Maryland. Yeek. All right, seeing guys just get thrown down on their face, he takes it to the door. Now, Mekhi, 6'3", 185 pounds, high points and tracks the football really, really well. That's what we learned, and plays for a high school that's got some really, really bad uniforms. Okay, we're not going to hold that against him. But yeah, big body, natural hands. I don't know if he necessarily has the true getaway burst speed. I think that's why he's rated as a 3-star. But the rest of the stuff is dynamite on the film, man. He is a really, really good deep threat. I think day one, when he gets to college at Maryland, he's going to have an opportunity to kind of take the top off the defense. Here you see him in motion as a running back with a ball in his hands on jet sweep. Has a natural feel for the grass, green grass as well. So, yeah, man. Mekhi White, our player of the day. A lot of what he's going to do in college is this right here. Which is the deep shots. I'm pretty sure he runs a post right here if I remember correctly. Nope, just straight go ball. Okay, but does track it and readjust really well. Gets 2 toes down there. Mekhi White, player of the day. Hey, you want to? Hey, let's give him 3. Yeah, boys. Let's give him 3, boys. Hey, appreciate you for being here today. Again, I know this is a platform and a show that is going to have to continue to grow. Apparently, our audio was cutting out again there towards the end. We will see you tomorrow, 8 o'clock on the local hour. We'll see you. Love you.